Hey, what up, Vibe Tribe? Welcome back to my channel. We about to kick it. No, but seriously, Vibe Tribe, what's up? Thank you for tuning into my channel. Thank you for all the likes, all the subscribes, and all the love. I really appreciate it, you guys. I love doing this, so please, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so right now, or hit that like or subscribe button, or stick around for this story and see how you like it. Then test it out, it's just a test run. Then hit that subscribe button. Yeah, how about that? As well as, don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way you'll know each and every time that I post, when I have a new story for you guys, for us to share. Okay, and leave comments down below, and be sure to keep it real, because we talk about things around here, but keep it really respectful in the comment section. Okay, and if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for rocking with me, for vibing with me. I really appreciate you guys. Plenty in store for you, and just stay tuned. All right, just stay tuned. I'm your girl, Lovely Vibes, and we are going to get into a story today called The Bottomless Well. I know, right? I'm like, what? But we're going to get into that story today, you guys. So let's do that right now. Here we go. All right, Vibe Tribe. So this story here, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, been having a wonderful weekend, vibing, having good vibe. Those good vibrations. Rocking with those good vibes. I hope that's all been going on, you guys. All right, so this story, The Bottomless Well, was written published in 1922, and it was written by a Gilbert Keith Chesterton. Gilbert Keith Chesterton. All right, so published back in 1922, and the way that this story starts out, this story here, first off, is a murder mystery, basically. So I got my notes for this one, because this one has a few turns in it. Okay, this starts off on an island. This story starts off on an island, way across the seas, beyond Europe, in the desert sands. Okay, So basically, the English have an outpost out there in the desert sea. It's a oasis for them that they created. They had green shrub brought in, and they had a clubhouse built there for golf. And for the soldiers around there. That was posted out there. So they're out there, and it was well known. This spot was well known among a lot of archaeologists, right? So archaeologists really like this spot because of a endless well there, or a bottomless well there, and which is not really a well, because there's no water in it or anything. And then they don't even know what's at the bottom, because nobody's been to the bottom. So it's just basically a hole that they're calling a well, but we're gonna go with bottomless well, because that's what it's called. So the bottomless well, the archaeologists that have made this part famous, but it turns out in times of war, or what's going on, so the English are there with their outposts, right? So as one of the soldiers is coming out of the clubhouse, he sees another soldier sitting by the endless well. So it's just staring into the endless well. So he goes over and he's talking to him, and he says, "Have you heard the news?" And so the other soldier said, "Yeah, I heard the news, So they really don't talk about it, but then they kind of talk about it a little. They don't talk about, basically, like, tell each other what the news is. So basically they were talking about a victory that they won in the north due to General Hastings. Okay, so that's their general, and they were just talking about this victory against who they were fighting all over the empire, and they really didn't get into detail about it, because it was already spread throughout the newspaper, throughout that land, and through the garrison, through the soldiers, and the little parts that they had for the bunkers, and you know what a garrison is. If not, if you know a soldier, they can tell you. So so they had the story that went around about the victory and everything. So one of the soldiers Mr. or I'm going to call him, I'm sorry, he's a captain, Captain Boyle. He's the one who actually asked the guy that was staring into the well, which his name was Fisher. So he was the one who asked Fisher, hey, he heard the news. So anyway, so Fisher changes the story after they talk about the victory, and Boyle, at one point when they were talking about the victory, Fisher was like being a little, he likes what he's fighting for, he likes what he does, but at the same time he just was talking about how they needed to create a providence and an empire, or he was just kind of going all over Captain Boyle's head, you know. So, and Captain Boyle, he brags about how no other nation could have done what they had done, or, you know, what their little group has done. But while Boyle is talking, Fisher is just steady staring into the wheel. He's staring into the wheel, just lost. He's, you know how you tune out when you're staring at something, like, so he's just looking into the wheel. Fisher finally starts speaking, and he's like, well, we have the power to undo mistakes, unlike our enemies. So Captain Boyle is like, what mistakes? Fisher obliges him and tells him, well, you know, everybody already knew that it looked like we bit off more than we can chew. You know, the general under command, while they were under his command, bit off more than he can chew. So Boyle says to Fisher, well, one would think that you really don't admire Hastings, you know. So Fisher's like, no, I very much admire him, you know, like, basically where the story was going, where Fisher was going all over his head and everything, because Captain Boyle is a younger guy, you know, and Fisher is a little bit older, you know, like a older guy, you know. So he was more into like the politics side as well as being a soldier, you know. So he just changed the subject. So Fisher changed the subject after that, because obviously he's looking like he's talking about his general. But before switching the subject, he's saying, well, Hastings, you know, he's giving Hastings credit and talking about how he's the best man for the job. So to be over there in the Middle East or where they are, he's the best man in the part they are in the desert. He's the best man, you know, for their garrison. And he felt like Fisher felt like Captain Hastings was good for the job, because he felt like that Captain Hastings, he knew the Arabs better, he knew how to communicate with them better, and the Arabs liked him, you know, like the general. So he felt like that's why he felt like he was the best man for the job. So he was like, no, everything is cool. So like I said, Fisher changes the subject, because he's like, okay, because Boyle is like, what are you even talking about? So Fisher's like, okay, maybe it's not worth you even understanding, so let's talk about something else, you know. So Fisher goes on talking about he starts asking Boyle, has he heard of the Arab legend about the well that he was staring into? So so Boyle is like, no, I haven't. I don't know of any legend of this well, you know, or I haven't heard anything like that. So Fisher goes on to tell him the legend about this well. And the legend is about it's an ancient tale, of course, because it's a legend. It's an ancient tale, and he's talking about a sultan named Aladdin, right? I know, I was thinking, what, Aladdin? But it's not the Aladdin of the lamp, and he makes sure he lets him know that. So he's sure to tell Captain Boyle that it's not about the Aladdin lamp, not about our friend, the nice Aladdin who with the genie and the lamp and everything, but it does have a lot to do with like myths, like giants, and which I don't think is a myth, but anyway, we're not gonna go there. But giants and genies and things along that line, you know, like the Sultan Aladdin had powers. So this Sultan, he wanted to build a tower or build his empire beyond the heavens. He wanted to go beyond the heavens, like build it beyond the stars, beyond heaven, and he wanted to keep on building and building and building forever. Just keep on expanding. And just like, you know, basically, in which Fisher explains, like the people of Babel, how they had the giants help build till they got to heaven. So, which, and they just wanted to get to heaven because they wanted to see, I guess, what was going on, or get to God and talk to him like, hey, we're here. What's up? We built we did it. We got here. So that's why they were building it. But the Sultan in Latin, he was doing it for selfish reasons. He just wanted to be higher than God. So he just wanted to keep extending his empire. And what ended up happening to this Sultan in the legend is he was cast down to the earth and then burrowed in, like cast down and is falling forever. So he's falling forever, and the kingdom is falling inward forever. So he supposedly got his wish, but only in a different way. He's not going up, he's going down. So Boyle is like basically, who believed these tales? Like, I don't believe these tales. So Fisher is like, I didn't say I believed it, but I believe in the concept. I believe in the meaning. Like, he believed that he understood the meaning of it, So, yeah, Captain Boyle is just, kind of just a young kid that's just in there like, huh? Everything that's being said, basically, from kind of what I was reading. Sound like he's just a partier. So anyway, so Fisher, after Fisher told him this story about this Sultan, this legend, Fisher tells him, maybe I believe it, no, but he believes he knows the meaning of it. So at this time, they're looking up Miss Hastings. While Fisher's talking, Miss Hastings, she's exiting the clubhouse, which the clubhouse, is a social setting for everybody that is basically on the base, and for something for them to have while they're out there, so they can have fun while they're out there, because they're in the middle of the desert, you guys. Like, what are they gonna do? So thank goodness they have this golf course that has a billiard room. It has a library, a really nice library where people can go that are serious about, well, some people there, they were also going even if they weren't serious, but you had a lot of most of the time, the soldiers that were serious about studies was in the library. But Mrs. Hastings is coming out, and so Fisher is like, yeah, have you... he's asking Boyle, basically, does he know of her? Because he, that's Mr. Hastings' wife, or has he seen her before? He's asking. And so Boyle is like, yeah, I think so, and so Fisher goes on to talk about, basically how she has the setting of... She plays her role. She plays her role out there, and she's able to be like the queen of that golf club place, or that clubhouse. She's able to play the role of the sociable queen. Like, yeah, I'm the general's woman, and this is how it goes. And because, it was a place for ladies and men out there at this base, So now they didn't have their bunker there because it was like nowhere near they didn't have a bunker anywhere near this well, because it was unfathomable. But, they had not too far away, obviously, they had their bunkers and garrisons and stations, had headquarters, and then you have the golf clubhouse. So even Mr. Hastings, even he uses this library. Like, he's really into science. He's really into studying, just basically, Boyle, he goes there too. Captain Boyle, he goes there too, but he's just more so along the lines of kind of social stuff. He's not into, like I said, he's a kid that's like, huh? So he's not, even though he be at the library. So, but he's, at this time, because he's not talking to Fisher anymore, he's exiting the building with Miss Hastings, So I don't know if he said that he thought he knew her before, or he might have known of her before, but I don't know. But they started talking, and they were walking. I don't know what they were talking about. But Fisher, at this time, because he's still sitting at the well, here comes a familiar face, and he's like happy, like, oh, what's up? His familiar face of a friend named Gilbert Greenery. Okay, so Greenery is a friend of a familiar face. He hasn't seen him in a while, so he's like, hey, what's up? And Greenery is he's some kind of officer. It's not security, but he's some kind of officer, like dealing with the police and everything. And he has many works in criminology, and besides criminology and law and everything. So he kind of has like the criminology, policeman, and science, all this stuff. He had proven himself, and he's solved all kind of things and done all kind of things that pertains to that field. So he works in that field. So he comes up and he's talking to Fisher, and he's like, hey, what's up? What's up? And Fisher's like, hey. And so when he starts talking to Fisher, he's like, what are you thinking about today? Because Fisher is a person that's just always thinking really deep, or thinking outside the box, versus Greenery. He's the type that they would consider kind of boring, because he's serious about his studies, but studying like in certain subjects and staying on those certain subjects. Fisher, he's the type that he can talk to anybody about anything. Like he just likes to learn different subjects and talk about different subjects. So that's how he's described. So Greenery, he's picking a little bit at him, like, hey, yeah, so what are you on today? Or you never know what you on, because Fisher will talk to anybody about almost anything. That's like what he's known for. Like, he be thinking, I'm thinking deep and I want to share it. Or I know, because I'm kind of like that, so it's not even, I don't talk to everybody. I'm actually a true introvert. I'm a true introvert, but when I am out, if I am around a large crowd, I cannot be there that long. I just can't. I can't say I don't know what's up with that. I'm an introvert. So Greenery is telling him he should never see the end of Fisher's interest, like, because he's always interested in everything. So Fisher gets a little offended a little bit, and he's like, and so Greenery is like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like, chill, I didn't see you like this. And so Fisher is just like, not really, nothing. And they talked a bit, because he hadn't seen his friend in a while. So they talked a bit, It's just that Fisher was all in his deep thinking process, So now he doesn't see Greenery again for like another 2 weeks. So now it's 2 weeks later, and now in the garden of the clubhouse, well, it's not in the clubhouse. Y'all know what I mean. But the garden around the clubhouse, now there's two men talking in the garden, which is Greenery and Tom Travers. So Tom Travers and Greenery, they're in this garden, and they're talking, and Fisher walks up, and he gets to talking to him and everything. And so while everybody's talking, having a good time, and the party or everybody's not a party, everybody knows it's a hangout for everybody on base. So everything is winding down. It's getting a little later, but people are still there, which is Mr. Hastings and his wife. They were there, So Mr. Hastings, he starts walking his wife out, because she's ready to go, So he starts walking her out, and so he walks a little ahead. And the three guys that's sitting in the garden, they see Fisher mainly. He sees this because Fisher is very, very observant, obviously. So he's very observant. So they coming out, and Mr. Hastings, he walks a little ahead. He walks a little ahead of his wife, and he goes to open the gate so he can go and get the car, open the door to the car, and be ready. But Miss Hastings, like midway, she like doubles back for a second, and she goes and she's talking to someone who's sitting like in the shadows in a cane chair. I probably was rocking too, one of those cane rocking chairs. I like those things though. But anyway, back to the story. So she's talking to somebody in the shadows, and while they're talking, you can't hear what they're talking about, obviously, from where Fisher was at, but they're talking, and then Mr. Hastings, he walks back up on his wife and kind of startles her and the person she's talking to a little bit, because he just came back. And then in the shadows, then you notice that it's Captain Boyle. So that's when then it's Captain Boyle from the shadow. So that's when General Hastings, he like signals for Saeed, which Saeed is the guy who just served the three guys, And so Greenery starts talking. When he did serve the three guys, Greenery was talking about how he didn't trust Saeed and how he feel like he'll just slit anybody's throat. And everybody's like, well, we know he's very much dedicated and loyal to the general. And then they was talking about how, well, that's how it usually is. How Arabs, they are loyal to their guests, or loyal to one person, or something like that. So he was like, and so then Tom goes on to crack a joke like, Well, as long as nothing happens to General Hastings, nobody should be worried about it or care about it, in bad taste, he's saying this joke. So after this, back to Mr. Hastings. So back to Mr. Hastings asking Saeed to bring over the coffee for him and Captain Boyle, who his wife was just talking to. So, and then they get their cup of coffee and they go inside. So once they go inside and the guys, they see the library light come on, So one of the guys is like, oh, I should think they have something serious to talk about. So Mr. Travers, he's like saying, well, scientific learnings, scientific research, the luxuries of learning, basically saying something like, ooh, I wonder what they talking about or what they went in there about, or just, just saying something. So while the guys are out there talking, the place was winding down, like I said, so it's only the three guys in the garden, and obviously Mr. Hastings and Captain Boyle in the clubhouse, So after some time passes by, Mr. Travers was like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. Yeah, obviously, they got things to do, So he leaves, and then now it's Fisher and it is Mr. Greenery. So they're sitting there talking or whatever. So after they talk, I keep calling him Greenery. It's Gray? Greenery, yeah, Greenery.
Just in case you think I'm tripping, we are all adults now. Can you please tell me the purpose of the silent letter?
Greenery. So once they start talking, they were steady talking. After some time, Fisher notices that the library light was extinguished, and it was just, extinguished out while he's talking to Greenery. And so the moon was out at this time, basically making the whole place kind of like a silverish color. That's how late it was. That's about the time it was. So some time after that, Travers comes running back. He comes running back. I don't know how he knew what was going on, but he comes running back yelling, and he's yelling for them to come help. I need some help. He's like, it's something going on. So they take off running, and they're running. No, but they running like Forrest Gump. So they run from the garden and to the clubhouse, and through the clubhouse, through the billiards, and then they run into the library. When they get into the library, Fisher, he runs into something, he bumps something, and he's like, he bumps some furniture, and the furniture moves, and he's like thinking like, what furniture moves, So Greenery snaps on the light or the electric lamp, and so that's when Fisher sees that it's just a revolving bookshelf, So he is, not that tall, not as tall as a table, but it's about as tall as a table. So it's a revolving bookshelf, and it had two coffee cups on it, and then it had an open book on another bookshelf not too far away, and that open book was like some type of Egyptian book, So where they were looking at plates in there, pictures in this Egyptian book. And so anyway, they leave out of there because, this is while they're running. So they run out, and then they finally get to the well because they run through the back. When they get to the close up on the well, they see a body laying. I know, right? Here comes the mystery. Oh. So the body is laying face down, and it's like stiff. The arm is like up, and it's just in a weird position. So the body is laying face down on the ground, and Captain Boyle is a couple of feet away on his hands and knees, just looking distraught and shocked, And they're like, what's going on, and what happened? So Captain Boyle is in shock. He's not saying anything yet, and so they check the pulse of. Obviously, it's Mr. Hastings laying face down on the ground. So, and he's dead. They're like, he's dead. He's gone. So Greenery, being with all his criminology, Mr. Travers tell him, I'm leaving this to you. This is your work. This is your department now. So Greenery is like, help me get him inside. He needed to get him inside, and Captain Boyle finally got his little heebie-jeebies kicked off, and he hopped to his feet, and then he was just like, I just turned around. I was looking into the well. I turned around, and he was on his face. He just collapsed. He heard a thump. So everybody's looking like, okay, this story don't make sense. That's what happened. He just fell on his face, you know. I mean, but things can happen, but a stiff body that fast, that's got to be weird. Because when I was reading it, I was like, how is it stiff already that fast? So anyway, so they go inside. They carry it inside. Not all of them. Mr. Greenery, he's like telling Fisher, I'm gonna leave you in charge of basically questioning Captain Boyle and finding out what happened and what's going on. And he said, I'm gonna lock myself in this room, in the library room, because I need to do my examinations. I need to get to the bottom of this or what's going on. And he said, I want you to go to headquarters and radio for headquarters and radio for a policeman to come here and come back, and to wait until I need him, you know. So he was like, okay. So Greenery does that. He locks himself in the room and he gets to work. So Fisher, he talks to Captain Boyle and he's asking him what happened. Boom, he tells him what happened. And after that, Captain Fisher, sometime after that, he's just by himself waiting for Greenery to come out. And so Greenery finally he emerges out of the library and he's like, all right. So Fisher, he sits up and he's like, hey, you know, did you find out what's going on? And he was like, yeah, I found out what happened. He said, did you question Boyle? Did he tell you what happened? And he was like, yeah, he pretty much told me everything. You know, he told me what happened. And now while Fisher is talking to Greenery, the policeman, he's just standing at attention, a little ways away from them, but he's right there, but next to him, because Fisher was by himself, like I said, but he was like lounging around. The policeman is obviously on duty, and he's standing at his post at attention. So Fisher goes on to explain to Greenery, all right, so this is what Captain Boyle said. So Fisher explains. So Captain Boyle told him, hey, he asked me for some coffee. We were drinking some coffee. We went to the library and we started talking about obviously the Egyptian book. You know, because Mr. Hastings asked him to come help him look for this book and to look at stuff in this book. So while they're looking at it, Captain Boyle says, like, I was just bent down looking for the book. So Captain Boyle said while they were in the library, they just looked at the book and they looked at a few pictures in the book. And then he said abruptly, just all of a sudden, Captain Hastings was like, wanted them to go walking out back, you know, towards their well, obviously, which is weird to me. But, well, it ain't really weird. That's their base, you know. So Captain, he wanted to go for a little walk. So he asked Captain Boyle, you know, come on, let's just go for a walk. So that's when that light was extinguished, you know. So, and he said all of a sudden, when we got to the well, I just went to look in the well and I heard a thump. And I turned around. He was on the ground face down. And I fell to my knees and my hands, but I was just too scared to go and touch his body. I just froze. So that's when you guys came running up. So then Greenery is like, well, he didn't tell you, not, you know, it's not far from the truth. He told you the truth. He just basically left some things out, you know. So Fisher is like asking what happened, you know, like, well, what do you think that happened? So he's like, of course, some type of altercation ensued here. And he said that because it was a letter, you guys, a letter written to Captain Boyle. So Mrs. Hastings wrote a letter, and when she went double back to go talk to Captain Boyle, she obviously told him that she put it in this particular book, a letter for him or whatever. But somehow the general, I don't know if he heard it or somehow he just knew about it, and that's when he was asking for Saeed to bring the coffee and all that and stuff, and acting like he didn't know anything about it or whatever, and asking him, hey, let's go to the library and look for this book. In my mind, I was like, ooh, I bet at that moment Captain Boyle was scared. Cause like if the lady just told you, hey, I got this note for you in this book, go and get it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm finna go and get that book. Oh, she got it. And then her husband come up right behind and like, hey, let's have some coffee and let's go look at some books. You'll be like, oh my God. I was like, oh my gosh, that had to be an intense moment. But obviously Boyle is dumb, because I would have known right there. But obviously Boyle is didn't catch on, you know, and because I wouldn't have went with him to get no book. And he followed him back there to look for these books. And so he had the letter, so they went to get this book, and obviously Mr. Hastings, found the letter that was written to him, and they went for a walk, and therefore it was going to be something, basically it was going to mess up Captain Boyle's life, and as well as, or either it was going to be, so basically it was going to be either when it was either me or you type of situation, right? It's either me or you, man, me or you. So he was just saying like, that's the motive, and that's what happened, and he didn't tell everything. So Fisher was like, well, how do you know that? How do you know about the letter? He was like, because I found the letter on Captain Greenery, So, and which I'm thinking, like, if he found the letter on Captain Greenery, like, why, if Captain Boyle, I'm not gonna say if Captain Boyle had, if he killed him, why didn't he take the letter? Like, he's dumb. He didn't take the letter out. You should have took the letter out. So, Greenery told him, yeah, Captain Boyle had the. Not great. So Greenery tells him Hastings had the letter on his body, and he was like, the stiffness due to the body, the way that the body had behaved and stiffed up so quickly or whatever. He was like, it was a poison. And he said, I checked the coffee cups, and it was, the poison residue was in one of the cups. And he said, and that's how, and the type of poison it takes 10 minutes to work. So he said, so that's after they drunk this is obviously when he asked him to go for, Hastings asked him to go for the walk. But anyway, so this is obviously when they go for the walk, and before, he said it would take about 10 minutes to walk to the well. And that's what happened. He was out of there, Hastings was dead. So Fisher is like, basically like, wow. Then he's like thinking about it. He's like, but he kind of saying like, it doesn't make sense, And he's like, I would say, you still got Saeed, and then and he was like, and then you got Tom Trevor's, and he really didn't like General Hastings. He didn't like General Hastings way more than Captain Boyle. It wasn't like Captain Boyle didn't really have any problems with him prior to hearing about this affair. And he was like, or it could have been Saeed, because he brought over the coffee. So that's when Greenery was like, you can't be serious. Like, I tested the coffee cups. It had the poison in there. And he was like, we already agreed that Saeed is very loyal to the general. He's loyal to this man. So what are you saying? So that's when Fisher was like, I guess you're right, but at the same time, I should examine this myself, like I want to go in a room and see these things in the library myself, So he goes in the library, and Greenery, he takes a letter that he wrote, a note that he wrote for headquarters, and he gives it to the policeman, and the policeman heads off with this note, So as he's doing that, and the policeman heads off with this note, Greenery goes back inside with Fisher in the library. Fisher is stooped down at the revolving bookcase that has the coffee cups on it, obviously, because he's looking like, what in the world, So as he stooped down, he like popped back up real quick as he stooped down, because when he stooped down, the bookcase kind of like turned a bit, like without, basically really, really easy. It just turned. So, but he pops up really quick, and he takes off running out, like he jumps out of a window, the nearest window. He jumps out, and he's running full steam. So Greenery looking like, what is wrong with this dude? He just took off, and he took off in the direction of the policeman and ran. And at some point, because the policeman was out of sight, but somehow he caught up with him and violently takes this paper from him, and he comes back. So when he comes back, he's like, woo, thank goodness I did that. Thank goodness I caught the policeman in time to get this note back. So Greenery like, what is your problem? What are you doing? And he's like, nobody can find out about this. Nobody can hear. He was like, so you're trying to say that a crime should be, basically somebody should get away with committing a crime? And he was like, no, the person didn't get away with committing the crime. He was like, is the justice, or not justice? He was like, basically the murderer has already been punished for the crime. And Greenery like, what are you talking about? So Fisher explains his theory. He's like, look, this is when the story got good. I was like, let me get my chips and my little sparkling soda. let me get all of my little stuff together, because I'm like, what? Well, let me hear this juicy. So what is he finna say? What is he talking about? So he's like, okay, when I came in here, because now Fisher has been obsessed with that will. I haven't even told you how many times he keeps talking about that well. He's obsessed with this well, besides talking about it, Latin, assaulting him, the meaning of the well, and things that's growing out of this well that doesn't have stems on them. It's just some type of green leaf that grows out of a leaf, you know. So anyway, so he was obsessed with this well, and he even at the time of Greenery explaining the story, and him talking about, well, Saeed could have did it, or Tom could have did it, and he just was just saying it just makes no sense to walk up to this well. And even Greenery was like, what does the well have to do with it? Like, people kept asking, what does this well have to do with anything? So anyway, Fisher tells him, oh my gosh, when I came in here, when you was talking, basically giving that note to the policeman, he said, I came in here, he's like, soon as I bent down, this revolving bookshelf turned so easily, immediately on its own. He said, and I immediately knew what happened. And that's why I popped up and I ran and chased after the police officer. So Greenery is like, okay. And he was like, so I know what happened. He said, if the general, he knew about this letter already, he already moved that book. That's why the book wasn't on the shelf that Greenery came to, which is the shelf that had the 2 coffee cups on it. So I'm mixing everybody's name up. So General Hastings, ahead of time, he moved the book from that particular bookshelf to a bookshelf on the wall. And so when him and Captain Boyle came into the library, they both put their coffee cups on this stand, on the revolving book stand. And while Captain Boyle was bending down, obviously Hastings was like, oh, I found the book. So General Hastings already found this book, and he had it on this other wall, right? So Captain Boyle, while he's bending down, probably thinking, oh my God, I gotta find this book on the shelf that he just knew it was on, because of Lady Hastings telling him, and it wasn't there because General Hastings moved it. And while he was looking for it, the revolving bookshelf turned on its own. He said, he knows this because it had just happened to him. He was like, when it turned, without Captain Boyle knowing it, the enemy basically set himself up. So so General Hastings put the poison in the cup, in Captain Boyle's cup. And when he went to turn his back to go and get the book that he put on another shelf, Captain Boyle, when he was bending down, this shelf had turned around without him realizing that the cups switched place. So neither one of them knew that it switched place. So General Hastings, he's like, okay. He thinking he got him, he obviously didn't. So anyway, so he goes on to explain, and that at that moment when Captain Boyle stands up without them noticing, these 2 cups have switched like the world going full circle, just as easy as the world going and spinning round. And he says that's when General Hastings is like, hey, let's go for a walk, because General Hastings knew that it was going to take 10 minutes for that poison. He knew, so he wanted him to walk towards this well, So he said that's when they start walking towards the well, and that's when he collapsed. And he was like, so Mr. Greenery, he's like, well, still, what does the well have to do with it? He was like, why would somebody walk towards a well if a man is, not planning to throw him in it? And I'm like, that makes sense. He was like, what General Hastings was gonna do, he was waiting for he was gonna wait for Captain Boyle to drop dead, and then he was gonna get rid of his body by throwing him in that well, basically. So he was like, so Greenery was like, have you had a suspicion from the beginning? He was like, I kind of had a suspicion from the beginning, because he basically was wondering why Captain Boyle didn't throw him in his well, even though it didn't say that in the book. But I know. But his suspicions, he was just saying the suspicions of why the well, why go near the well, and he was like the suspicions of basically the way that Captain Boyle was behaving, and Captain Boyle didn't have, when he used to talk to him, he didn't have no hate towards General Hastings. So he said, so basically the man, he hurt himself. He killed himself. He didn't hurt himself because he would still be here, but he killed himself. So he's like, oh my gosh. So Greenery like, I see what you're saying. Like, oh man. And so Fisher is like, this can't get out. It can't get to nobody. Nobody can know this. So Granny like, what are we supposed to do? We can't. What are we gonna say? We gotta say something. And he was like, he has to have died from natural causes, some type of heart attack, something. It can't be. Nobody can know that he died from this poison and poisoned himself by accident because he was trying to kill somebody. Granny's like, what are we gonna do? So he was like, I have a friend coming down today. Ironically, his friend was coming down. That's a great journalist, and he's gonna come down and basically write something. And he was like, but he's a very honest man, so you can't tell him the truth of this story, Well, obviously anybody that he already done said nobody can know about this, so they can't tell nobody. So he's like, he's gonna come down and we'll have them write the story, and it has to be natural causes and everything. So it's basically somebody's just gonna go unpunished. He was like, no, the person's been punished, and also, and I think he was talking about Boyle when he said that, and he was like, basically Fisher's like, just think about it. We can't, if they would tell, like they was living off the general's name in the area. The general was famous among the Arabs over there, and the general was his own Arab legend over there. Like he had his own tale basically. So, and Tom, the reason why that Mr. Travers didn't like him, because Fisher was explaining how it wasn't really the general's victory, and I guess maybe because Travers was second in command, so I guess he didn't get any credit at all. So that's why Fisher was saying that he didn't like him more, But he was saying that this would ruin them in the area that they're in, and it was like, and then it'd be a mockery, it'll make a mockery of them, and they people, their little Garrison, and so then he tells him, just imagine like, what would happen to us. So obviously, his friend's gonna come down. But anyway, so what it ends up happening, so Captain Boyle, he comes and he talks to Fisher. So Fisher ends up meeting with Captain Boyle. Fisher ends up meeting with Captain Boyle, and he's like, hey, am I cleared? Am I gonna be cleared? But he's looking sad. He's really sad about what happened. And he's like, hey, am I cleared? Am I going to be cleared? And then so Fisher is telling him, I would say that you're not cleared, but you are, not going to get in trouble for this, because they obviously going to cover it up. And he basically telling him nobody can know about it. But I think when he was telling him you're not cleared, because he basically you cheated with this man's wife, like you're not going to get away with this, and maybe they going to treat him like crap. I don't know, but they just because if you think about it, he kind of was the cause of it. Like, you probably pushed this dude over, even though I don't think it's right to murder somebody over things like that. Just leave, divorce. I don't know. Everybody is different though. So anyway, so he goes on to explain to Captain Boyle, what would happen to him, and so, but that he's cleared and he's not gonna get hanged for this, as he told Granny, because Fisher told Granny, he was like, just think we would have hung an innocent man, and then it would have came back on us, he was like, that would have ruined us, and the general, his mother was Arab, so his mother was Muslim, so he had half the blood, so that's why they were saying he got along so good and was so respected among everybody there, so he was like, they would have definitely not only been the laughingstock of even their own countrymen, but the laughingstock, treated badly by the locals there because of how much they cared for General Hastings and how much they liked you, because they was only basically respecting everybody because of General Hastings. So he explains to Boyle, well, he explained that to Boyle, because Boyle didn't know that he was mixed, that Captain Hastings was mixed, and he was like, oh, and then he was like, this would really mess us up and ruin us and get us messed up while he's talking to, and get us treated badly. And he said, if you think I'm gonna let our platoon, I guess, our division get made a mockery of and get be a laughing stock, you got nothing coming. He was basically saying, I don't care how much money somebody come with. I don't care if rich people come and tell the real person that we're fighting for that we got to do what we got to do and what they'll give us. He was like, basically we got to take this to our grave. He was like, not while I'm alive. Like, we can't ruin this legend. We cannot ruin this. So Captain Boyle, feeling a little stupid, he goes and he walks off, and because he feels like a dummy, which he is a dummy, he walks off or whatever, and they don't tell anybody, So and at the time that Captain Boyle and Fisher is talking, like, Boyle basically kind of makes a comment of the type of knowledge that Captain Fisher have, like kind of being smart a little bit about like all this little knowledge or him knowing certain things. And Fisher tells him, like, if it wasn't for the weird things that I was into, like, you'll be a dead man right now. You would be hung. Like, my weird thoughts is what saved your life, basically. So that's when Captain Boyle felt like an idiot and felt stupid, as he should have, because he was dumb. That's when he, just walks away with his head down and looking like an idiot. But that is the end of that story, you guys. That's the end of that murder mystery story. I hope you guys look it up so we can talk about it. But what I got out of this story, first off, don't cheat. Because people will try to murder you sometimes. Some people, or they don't know how to walk away. They don't know how to just leave and just be like, you know what, this person doesn't want me anymore, obviously, or this person doesn't appreciate me, so let me just go. Some people will just be like, oh, I'll just kill him. Like, and which has always been weird to me, because I'm like, once you kill him, like, you don't ever feel like, oh, I wish I would have killed that person, or I wish I had that person back, because you'll never get them back or have another chance again. But I don't know. Like, you sure you want to kill this person? You really sure want to take this person out? But also, because Boyle, in this story, to me, he was bold. Boyle was very bold to sit up there and talk to the general's wife and think that he was gonna get away with it. Like, people ain't not looking, and the wife is just as dumb. Like, how you gonna double back and start talking to this man in the shadows, But Mr. Hastings, his I can't say it was an evil heart, because it's not like the story said of any other things he did that was bad or anything. But doing something like that, trying to kill somebody and then throw him down a well and act like la 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 la, that's pretty. Maybe he snapped. I don't know. But Boyle, he's the problem, of that happening. And them sweeping it under the rug, I don't know how I feel about that, because I don't know if you should just be like, oh, you have to tell what happened, even though he is an Arab legend. It's how many trains? Yeah, so I think that the moral of the story, the Captain Boyle need his butt kicked. He need his butt kicked. I want to know if the wife is going to find out. Like, she needs to know that, lady, you also are the reason why your husband is dead. You just sitting up there. She just going to be at the funeral crying, oh, he had a heart attack. No, you did this. He didn't have a heart attack. You and Captain Boyle caused this. That's what happened. Really. So I don't know, you guys. This story here, it had me, like I told you, it had me snacking, and I was like, oh my God, what? It had so many turns. Especially, I was really irritated at first when I started the story, because I'm like, why does this dude keep talking about this whale? Like, if you guys go and you read it for yourselves, it's a short story. You know what I do here? I read stories, short stories, sometimes a little longer, and then I come back and I share them with you guys, okay? So, this one today, the Bottomless whale, was a story that I wanted to share with you guys, and I want to talk about with you guys. So if you guys go and read this story, then you'll see how much this dude Fisher was talking about this whale. But pretty much, like I told you, he's into thinking of different things. He's a deep thinker, at least he used his powers for good. And it was said in the book, that he had some type of basically spiritual, like, discernment about him. That's how he was able to know about, hey, something not right with this story. Hey, I think that Boyle didn't do it. That's how he kind of knew, because he know how to tap. He knows how to tap into his power, you know. So, but yeah, I guess they didn't have nothing to do out there. But it was other women out there, so I don't know what was up with Captain Boy. I don't know what was up with that. But yeah, that point, the moral of that is to check yourself before you wreck yourself. No, but yeah, Captain Boy needed to get him a woman that was not somebody's wife. And Hastings needed to, I don't know, divorce his wife or something, but control his emotions on that part, you know. Because I was just watching something not too long ago about some dude is all in this girl's face with, you know, got her on her Facebook Live, and he's like, he just beat her up, and he's like, man, you cheating on me, bro. You cheating on me, bro. Just doing some dumb stuff. This is his girlfriend. It's not even his wife. And I saw some other guy do a video on this. I think his name is Carlos King, which I like. I like his commentaries, and he was even one to say, this not even his wife, you know. And I was like, thank you. It's not even your wife, and you were just saying y'all not even together like that. But y'all together. That's weird. And you hitting on this girl and talking about some, leave me alone, bro. But you're in her house or in her apartment or whatever is going on. Talking about, just leave me alone if you don't want me. Why didn't you, if she talked to another guy and you feel like y'all together but y'all not together, why are you over there beating this girl up? And then why are you telling her, just get away from me. Just leave me alone. You leave, dude. Leave her alone. I don't know. This world is crazy. But anyway, you guys, let me know what you guys think of this story down in the comment section below. Please, please, please let me know what you think. Because I really want to exchange thought on this, you know. I really want to know what you guys are feeling on this story. What was your favorite part of the story? What would you have done if you were Captain Boyle? What would you have done if you were General Hastings? Would you try to kill that man? Would you try to kill him? Would you try to do something to your wife? What would you do if you were General Hastings? Also, who is your favorite character? Because my favorite character is Fisher in this story, because he is really into kind of like off in his mind to himself, but at the same time he comes back down and he can mingle and talk to everybody and obviously have a good time, you know. But he was my favorite character. But let me know, what was your favorite character in this story? What was your favorite part? What did you think of the story? And what would you have done if it had been you over there in an outpost far out in a beautiful, well, I'm saying beautiful. I could see the way that they was describing the clubhouse. I was like, oh, this is a nice clubhouse. But what would you do if you were there? You know, would you try to talk to your general's girl, like wife or whatever, you know? All right, you guys, be sure to stay tuned. Be sure to hit that notification bell so you know the next time that I post a video for you guys and have a great story to share and talk about. Let's talk about it. Y'all know how we do it around here. Let's talk about it, baby. Let's talk about books for you and me. Yeah, okay, let me quit butchering that song. But seriously, leave comments down below. Let's talk about this story. You guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful hour. And remember, spread love, you guys. Let me say that first. Spread love. Be peaceful out here. It's getting crazy out here. I know people say, oh, it's just because we got the internet now. And yeah, but the internet is also, it seems like it's making it even more wild out here with people putting on for the camera. I don't know what's going on, but I've been seeing some crazy things. So be safe out here. Be careful. Protect your spirit. Protect your peace. Protect who you are. And stand for something or you'll fall for anything, as they say. And that's very true. Stand for something or fall for anything. All right? Be nice to each other. Be kind. All right? All right. I'll see you guys next time. And remember, love, peace, and vibes. I'm out.